Okay.
Oh my God.
You're in the intro. All right, Kate. It looks like it's working. Thank you. I'm an asshole.
Have a great show.
Thanks. Bye. All right. Okay. Let me just explain. Well, first of all, I am Molly Sleuth. I am joined tonight by my bestie, Randy Agard. We'll introduce ourselves in a minute. We were ready. I have been here at work so that I could have interwebs for freaking ever. And can anybody see me? Good to see you. Okay. Hi, Leyland. Can you see me? Or are you talking to my sister? I don't even know anything about what's going on right now. All right. So somehow it just took a giant shit. And it wasn't my internet because I went on eBay and I looked for prosthetic limbs and I could see some. So I knew I had internet and you stayed in the thing. Anyway, hi.
Hello.
Why is it always something? Okay. Anyway, I am Molly Sleuth. I am a teenage punk rock piece of shit that was an LAPD cop for many years and over a decade. And that's where I met my best friend, Randy Agard. And Randy, why don't you just give a 2-minute, 2-second on yourself while I breathe?
I'm Randy Agard, while my friend over here is having problems with her interwebs. Former Marine from New York City. I was an LAPD cop for about a decade where I met Molly in Hollywood, of all places. We're going to tell you our story. So
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah. I think what's interesting, all these shows, we've had a little bit of notes or we know what our intro is going to be. And this was the first one where I was just so calm because you and I spent, how many hours were we on the phone the other day? 1,000.
5
hours. Yeah. And somehow
record.
We never have a lack of anything to talk about. So I felt so calm about doing this one because it was just the technical stuff that you just have to get through, push this button and do that. And then the rest of it is easy breezy because I know you as well as I know myself and I don't need any notes. And then we have all these technical difficulties. Fuck, dude. All right. Well, let's start at the beginning. So you were a Marine. How many years between the Marines and LAPD were there?
Got out in 98. I tried to join the LAPD in 2000, I want to say 1 or 2, right after 9/11. So 2 reasons why I joined the LAPD was I was scared to death of cops, as a lot of people with my pigment are, for whatever reason, because of the media. And believe it or not, I really wanted to make a difference. But to answer your question, I tried after 2001, after 9/11, because I'm from New York. And I wanted to do something like go back in the Marines or serve some kind of way. And they wouldn't let me for 3 years at a 3-year hiring problem. And then out of nowhere. So 98 to 2005, 7 years.
Okay. And did you have any hiccups? Come on.
Any hiccups?
Download another browser. Did you have any hiccups with the application process?
Yeah. What was it they said? Oh, the lie detector test. They said it was, yeah. They I've never done weed. I've never smoked weed, and they thought I was lying about that. I think it was inconclusive. So that was my hiccup.
Mine was so weird because this guy who was bigger than the doorway with the deepest voice comes in and he's like, I'm here to do your lie detector test. He's like, are you nervous? Of course I'm nervous. It's a lie detector test, not a truth detector. You just want to find out if I'm a piece of shit. I don't know how it works and whatever. And so they sit you in this chair and you're looking at this weird, I don't know if we had the same, because what year did you come on?
2005, so 2004, okay. I guess I was.
And I came on 2008. And so you're at this wall with all these dots in it. And you're just 2 inches from the freaking wall in a like a hard chair, and they've got this like coily cord around you and like things on your fingers and all this stuff, and you're all hooked up. And so you're just really cognizant of like not wanting to move. And so then he asks you like the first 3 questions, like, is your name blah, blah, blah? And you're like, yes. And do you live here? Yes. And do you kill grandmas? No. And like the 3rd question, whatever it was, like that's when I need to breathe. Like I can only stand still for like so long. And so he was like, you need to get your shit together. You're going to fail this test. I'm like, could you ask the questions in it? Like he's like, you have to control your breathing. Like I am, but I can only control it so long. Ask the questions in a different order or fucking hurry up. But like, he's like, no, just breathe naturally. Bro, there's no fucking breathing naturally. And I don't remember what the 3rd question was, but it was something about, you know, raping and murdering old ladies or something ridiculous. And no, every time. So, but yeah, and then the treadmill, which I think I went over that a couple of videos ago, like, hate treadmills. But yeah, the rest of it was like, it was fine. I think from being like a kid actor going in to do the oral interview was a cakewalk. Name a time in which blah, 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 blah. Like, well, let me tell you about a time that blah, blah, blah. And then I can't think of, there was that, the bicycle one. And then you had to like sidestep and a cable pull.
The balance thingy, the like seesaw or whatever.
No, it was like, for us, it was like a basketball sidestep, a cable pull, and a bicycle. And the bicycle, I got bad information. And I was told if you can get to a certain amount of miles on the bike, that you're totally good with the test, and then you can just like slow down. So there's no way. I couldn't even get to like a quarter of that. And actually, I took the test twice, because the treadmill fucked me up, and then I had a test that was expiring and all this stuff, whatever, I don't know. But then you go into the academy, and so what were your classmates like?
Everyone was pretty cool, but I wanted to ask you, before you find out what my classmates were like, why did you join, Molly? I've never found out why you became a police officer.
Yeah, so I mean, I was a punk rock piece of shit, so it's not like I grew up loving the police. In fact, our intro song, I really wanted to be Great Cop from Fugazi, but it was a little too punk rock maybe for normal people. So, and yeah, it's not like I grew up liking police. I didn't really have any interaction with them except for like negative, interactions, being pulled over and given tickets, the normal stuff. And I had this stupid alcoholic boyfriend, and he got robbed on the LA subway. And through that, I started volunteering. I was already part of the neighborhood association because, the shithole neighborhood that I lived in. And I was trying to like clean up the town. And the kind of punk rock that I was more of like the PC, like Washington, D.C. punk rock, the politically correct, like let's change the world, and fanzines and work at the soup kitchen, and like we're gonna like save the world, right? So I was already part of my neighborhood association, getting all kinds of signatures and stuff, and through that idiot getting his face beat in, one of the officers, a senior lead officer, who's sort of like a neighborhood liaison, that's like the guy who, there's a drunk person on the corner every Friday. Like he sort of puts together crime trends and helps with, quality of life issues with businesses and recurring crimes. And instead of just like the regular beat cop, which is what Randy and I were, where we see the man, we get a radio call, we get another radio call, we get another radio call. And we don't have a lot of time for that kind of proactive stuff. And so he told me to come and volunteer. And I worked the juvenile intervention program, which was like kids that were kind of troublemaker kids. I lived in Rampart Division in Los Angeles, for everybody out there. It's pretty rough area. And so we took kids off the street that were starting to get in trouble, and we put them through kind of like a boot camp because their moms wanted them to go and stuff. And so you kind of like we were with the academy, you break them down to build them up, to let them like earn ranks and feel, this camaraderie and teamwork and hierarchy and the pride of earning something. It really is very much, because I say that I think that police and gangsters are very like similar. And so you're doing the same thing for these kids. You kind of like break them down, you jump them in to like raise them up in the organization. A lot of them end up later going into the military or going into police or, something similar. And it's just to keep them from joining a gang. And so, I would call and go, hey, your kids, we're coming to pick up your kid. He didn't show up. Come on, it's Saturday. And you make them do push-ups. And if they're goofing off, you yell at them and stuff. So, and then I worked some outdoor events. It wasn't like I was really doing anything, but just being at the police station was like something I had never done. I'd been a victim of so many crimes. And thinking back now, I'm like, why didn't I ever call the police on my roommate? Like he literally admitted that he stole $1,200 cash from my room. Russ Yeager, you still owe me. But you just don't call the police for stuff. I don't know. I just didn't. So being at the police station was so exciting because there's like people in handcuffs and like they're totally going to prison the rest of their life. Like, oh my gosh, they're in handcuffs. And I kind of just applied out of a dare. Captain Dennis Cremens was the Rampart captain at the time. The most amazing guy. I got a Christmas card from him this year. Just the most amazing person. Like one of those top 10 humans that has ever existed on this planet. And, but he's the captain. I didn't really know who he was at the time. And I was working some stupid event and I had to yell at these parolees. And he said, that was amazing. You should apply. I'm like, you are smoking crack. And then I went over to my senior lead officer and I was like, dude, he said that I should apply. Isn't that crazy? And I had absolutely like fire engine red hair at the time. And he's like, yeah, you should apply. There was a $500 reward if you could get somebody through the academy at the time. So he's like, you don't even have to be a cop. I just need you to get through the academy. And so he'd call me and go, where are you at the hiring process? How's my $500? And he did get his 500. But when I applied, I don't think I really thought that they were going to hire me. I just thought, this will be another like fun story to tell my stupid friends. Because at the time I was hanging out with a bunch of drag queens and just having fun and getting dressed up and going to nightclubs and crawling around on dance floors and just being an idiot. And I don't think I really thought that I was applying for a job. It was just like an experience to check a box or whatever. Nice. Every step of the way, they tell you just because we put you in the academy doesn't mean that we're going to let you wheel out. Just because we let you do this doesn't mean we're going to like at each step of the way. It's like, we could fire you. You're an at-will employee, whatever. Like, they tell you that all the time. And so I don't think I ever really, thought that I was getting that job. If you had said like, hey, will you sign a thing that says, even like, remember how you had to sign a thing that said that you were going to work there for 5 years or you were going to pay them like tens of thousands of dollars back for your academy? And I was like, well, that's under duress. They can't possibly. So yeah, I don't know. I think when I joined, I wasn't that serious about it. I didn't really know how impactful it would be. I had a million jobs in my life. I started working when I was like 9. Of course, it was on TV shows. But I think I got my first like part-time job at like 15 or something at a grocery store. And so you just work places and then that one dissolves and you go work another place and you hate that place and you go work another place. So I did not know that I was going to be donating, 13 years of my life to this place. But there you have it. So the academy for me, I was like the old person. I mean, shit, going through the fire academy, I was really the grandma there. In fact, a couple of the kids from my fire academy just texted me. They're like, "Hey, we're having a party, January, whatever. Like, are you gonna come? Like, what, you need like a babysitter? What are you guys inviting me for? You need grandma to come? You need a designated driver, kids?" Okay, so where did you do? So you went through the academy. Tell me a little bit about that.
My classmates were pretty much like everyone else's classmates. They're your family for those however long. You go to their house and study, all that good stuff. Then, like, we're gonna be in touch forever, and we should all get. I went April 05, so we're all gonna get 405 tattoos. No one did that.
Oh, you're in the 405 class. Got it.
And then you said, where did I go after that? Southeast.
Yeah.
So Compton and Watts.
Probationate. Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing that there's places on Earth, I'm sorry, in America like that. We had a Navy SEAL come back from, I think, over there, wherever over there is. And he said, this is insane. So Southeast is like Nickerson Gardens. It's a bunch of projects where they get their unaliving on. Like, they'll go steal a car, like 4 of them. Then they'll go carjack somebody else's car. And like Nickerson Gardens will go to Imperial Courts and I think a Training Day or one of those movies. And they just go at it. A-Trade Gangster Crips, 60s. So that's where I did my probation. I had no idea what was going on. Just like, is that dead body? So like,
what was your first training officer like?
He was out of his mind. He was literally, he was out of his mind.
To be a P3 in Southeast, you kind of have to be, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we were chasing a stolen car that was being towed backwards. Like, we were just listening to the radio, like, oh, they're on this street, they're on this street. And then we get there and then, oh, there's a riot at the police station because there was a fight at a funeral between the cops and the bad guys. And then one of the cops at this station decides to OC spray, pepper spray everybody.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't spray anybody. And it's like, okay, dude. And
I didn't
my
spray
classmate
anybody.
was like, was that your probation? I said, no, that was Thursday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. They sent me to West LA, which, if you don't know LAPD, they call it West Latte, yeah. And it's like, I think they knew that not everybody had Southeast in them. There were a lot of people that wanted to go. So you put in for 3 and then did you get one of them or did they just send you wherever the fuck they wanted to send you?
I think I got Southeast. I think I wanted someplace bad where I wouldn't get kicked off of probation because I was like, I'm not going to make probation. I said, if they have enough time to look at me, I'm done.
For Hollywood. I was going to do my whole career in Hollywood. So I put in for West Latte, North Hollywood, Wilshire Division.
Wilshire gets going on. Playboy Gangster Crips.
Yeah, I know, because I worked gangs for West LA where we border with the Playboy. But so I got West LA, and my first training officer was such a nice man, very mild-mannered. And I had to wear my fucking tap shoes, those Bates, all 2 months. And I'm like, dude, these are not tactical. Like, how come I have to wear tap shoes? Everybody else is wearing boots. And I had to wear my long sleeves. He was very traditional. And he was very mild-mannered. And then we got, I don't remember what call we had, but he fucking lost it on somebody. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm going to have to pull him back. Like he had a temper, but it was just, otherwise he was so just like sweet and nice. The second guy hated women, didn't think we should be on the job at all. I mean, some of them shouldn't, let me tell you. But he was just snide and like mean to me for no reason. And that was kind of funny. I guess growing up with drag queens, like there's something perverted about me where I kind of like if you don't like me. So I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I just don't care. I don't have that like rejection thing. It's more fascinating to me that somebody is like spending their time and attention and energy on stupid me. Like, thank you. It's a compliment. And then the third guy, he was just a P1 probationer killer. And he had fired the last guy that he was with. And so I found out that I got him as my last training officer. I cried and I called my mom and I was like, I don't know, like, what am I going to do? This guy wants to fire everybody. And my mom said, you know, how many whatchamacallits, how many shifts is it? And so it's 2 deployment periods. And I was on watch 3, which is the overnight shift, which is a 12-hour. So I think it was 26 shifts or something total that I had to work with him. And she's like, well, can you do it for 20? Can you just sit with him for 26 times? Like, well, that makes it sound a lot more like reasonable. And the first day I brought him chocolate. I knew he liked chocolate. So I brought him all this chocolate. I don't remember where I got it. And he did that thing where he drove me up into the hills, left, right, left, right. Where are we? I've been shot. Where are we? And I was like, fuck you. I heard that training officers did this shit. And there was no sign back there at the hedge, but we're 2 west of this and 1 north of that. And he was like, all right. And then he drove off and like the rest of the time was great. Denny Leopoldo, he ended up going to Central Division before he retired. And he was a hard ass and he was amazing because, I mean, we brought monoculars to work and we were just like sitting, because there's not a lot of crime in West LA. So you just like find crime and you make like bigger things out of smaller things. And so we would sit across the street and watch the transients like drinking alcohol, and you'd have your monocular out and you'd be like waiting for him to take a sip, take a yeah, boo, you know, and like you'd give him a ticket for drinking in public. And like that was like a West LA felony. And it was just, it was so different. My training officers were so different from one another. And I was so grateful for it because there's so many different kinds of people that are brought to this job. And you learn from all of them. You learn what kind of guy you want to be, what kind of guy you don't want to be. And then the next half of your probation is basically you get to work with seasoned P2s or seasoned officers that aren't doing all the reports and stuff on you. So what were your other training officers like?
I'm not going to say her name, but she's blonde and she cursed a lot, but she was amazing. She was a great cop. I can't really complain about anyone, but you kind of mentioned something that's so true. You and I share a brain. If you're not teasing me, I don't think you like me.
I know.
And that's cop culture. If they're serious with you, they don't like you.
No, it's true. If I walk into work and I'm like, what's up, fucker? It means that I totally like you and you're fun. If I go, good morning, sir, like I don't like you very much.
Yeah, so it's military.
But I also learned in the academy that sir stands for someone I resent. So.
Oh, wow.
Powered by Spirit, I do see the chat, guys. Powered by Spirit says, I have some interesting experience with Leos that I'd like to confess and possibly discuss with you all. I just don't know how to do it through this. I don't know if I send you a link and we suck you in, or if you want to do another one in a couple of weeks. And they also said, how are you feeling these days about making bigger things out of smaller things? I think it's okay. So I'm a kind of cop where I pull you over for stuff and then I decide whether or not, because LAPD, we're given spirit of the law. And, you know, the vast majority of people make mistakes. And it's not that drinking in public is the worst crime that's ever happened. But I think you have to understand the bigger picture. If that guy is drinking a beer, then he's going to be yelling at some lady and rob her in front of her car. She calls 911. He goes to jail. She's terrified. It's like a whole community issue. it's not just drinking a beer. If the guy wants to just go crawl in a hole or go home or go into his tent and drink a beer, I don't really care about that. It's only when it's stuff that you know is going to cause problems for the future.
I want to answer that. It seems like a small thing. Like my neighbors have their radios low. No one's parked in front of my house. It's quiet and it's peaceful here. So we literally don't need the cops. And I'm not saying you need the cops because you're acting out of sorts or you're doing whatever. But it's the little things. When you're a cop, you investigate something and you find out something small caused this whole huge. He came home drunk and he pushed my son. So I grabbed him and he stabbed me. And it's like, aren't you not supposed to be drinking? You're on probation.
Yeah.
And now we got to transport her. And now you're getting a charge for attempted murder. And it's like, all because you drank while you, just the little things. Like,
yeah.
What is it? The crack broken window effect?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I was working with you, but I was in Hollywood and this car in front of us, we were at the stalest red light. And all of a sudden they just fucking blew through it. Like, wait, what? What the fuck just happened? Woo! Pulled it over. And so I don't think I was driving that night. I never drove. We'll get into that. But we come up to this kid in this car, and he's got his hands at 10 and 2 with the window rolled down. Sorry, the reason I pulled you over is because of the fucking red light. Are you cool? Or are you like, oh yeah, I don't just brain fart, whatever. And is this your car? Yeah, it is. All right, well, we're going to be fine. I feel like I was talking to the driver, but it's been so many years. And, okay, can I get your license, registration, and insurance? They're in the glove compartment. When you're ready, I will reach for them. Wow. Now, this was a young kid, maybe 19, 22, young black kid. And when you're ready, I don't know who taught him how to do a traffic stop, but I felt safe with him because blowing the red light, like sometimes you just get that we call it black and white fever, where people just do fucking crazy shit in front of you because they lose their mind, like the police, like, where all of a sudden they're driving like 15 on the freeway or they're driving 100 on the freeway. They blow stop signs, they stop extra long and get rear-ended. Like it's black and white fever. So, but this kid, man, he was solid. And I was like, look, that was totally egregious what just happened. But obviously, like, I don't know who taught you to, make us feel safe like that, but you're golden. Like, there's no way I'm going to give you a ticket for that. Like, obviously watch the light, have a good night. And, but yeah, I mean, you definitely don't have to give tickets for everything. Now, if I pull you over, I remember there was a guy I pulled over. One of the tickets I really like to give is throwing your cigarette out the window, because that burnt cigarette is still burning on the road. And then my car kicks it up and it goes up into some like glove or helmet of a motorcycle rider. And now you have a death, injury, traffic accident. And so like every car has, a paper cup in it or an ashtray or what, like, what are we throwing shit out the window for? So I would always go up, the reason I stopped you is the cigarette, whatever. Do you have an ashtray? Can I just see that it works? Okay, you got change in it. Cool, I'll be back. And this guy was just so pissed off. He was like, I pay your salary, one of those fucking things. Like, I'm not paying for this ticket. I'm going to get out of it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool, I don't care. Be right back. So I wrote the ticket and I was like, whatever the penal vehicle code was, and observed violator, throw a lit cigarette from vehicle. Violator stated has working ashtray, but uses it for change only. I put that on the ticket and he was pissed off. But that was it. That's just, I think, the only one that I really don't give a warning on. Like, better than to throw fire out your window. I think that's the only ticket that I can't warn you on, because it could cause somebody's life. What kind of tickets did you give, though?
I actually, donuts. It's a car. It's not a toy. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, you
doing
mean
donuts?
drifting and all that stuff?
So donuts, I'd always work with guys who, they wanted to join motors. So they were like, we're going to sit by the stop sign and and I'm like, could we hunt fairly? Like, could we drive? And if somebody does something egregious, I'm kind of like you. I gave a lot of breaks because working in Southeast, everybody was like, nobody had their stuff together. And the thing was, you give somebody a mover in Southeast, it's a $300 ticket, and they're making 300 a week, and it's like, do I really want to really screw this person over? And then when you get to Hollywood, it's a whole. Oh, so I went to Hollywood. Sorry, I didn't put that in there. I went from Southeast to Hollywood, where I met you,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like we're dealing with so much. You really want to write a stop sign ticket? Like, this guy just OD'd in a miniskirt. Like, let's go handle that, and then let's get back to policing. Nothing wrong with guys in miniskirts, just,
There's a lot of them in Hollywood. Donut time. Island in Santa Monica?
I'm wearing a miniskirt, so.
Oh, you are. Good. Excellent. Okay, so I met you at Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together like a handful of times, but you were solid. We were on the same watch. We were on the same shift.
We weren't in the good old ones.
Yeah. Besides our hot dog caper, I can't think of any other calls that we handled together.
Cop inflation. So you and I worked on a shift together where there was like 14 cops, and then we probably had 12 from watch 3. So it was like, let's say 30 of us, and I'm just making that number up. But cop inflation is, there's 100 specialized units. So it turns out to be only a few of us from watch 7 handling the whole division, while those other 100 cops get to chill and kick it and go eat. So you and I didn't work together, but there were so few of us on watch 7. Hey, Molly, what's up? Hey, Randy, what's up? What'd you get tonight? What'd you get?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had a pretty small shift because we covered the people that worked daytime to the people that worked nighttime, and we covered that interim period. So I think our shift was like 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. or something. We had a 10-hour shift. And like, shit's just getting good. And then your shift is over. And they're like, okay, go home. And you're like, but this is like,
I want to go.
all the. So it's sort of like a junior varsity kind of shift. And we really got treated like that because like the other watches would just be kind of dicks. I remember I got this one call in Hollywood, and it was this girl who had been thrown into her closet mirror door. She was all cut up. And we go, and she says he's still upstairs. He's packing. He's going to leave. And so we're waiting for medical treatment to come for her. And we got to go up and get this guy. She says, oh, yeah, you should probably know he's a cage fighter. And he said that he was going to kill you guys. Cool. So we call for an additional unit over the radio. And Randy, we have to be really cognizant of just dumbing it down and explaining some of the lingo. And some motherfucker gets on the radio and goes, for what? Because they don't want to just like, oh yeah, do you have a whatever form? Like, I need a CHP 555 form. Like, nope, I'm busy, out to station, fuck you. But I go, just for arrest team only. And then everybody shows up like, oh, fucking hands on. We putting hands on people? I want to go to that. So we had all these people show up. Now, I'm the only girl in this mix. And it was one of those weird sidewalk level and then like 6 steps down to glass doors that open into a lobby of this apartment building to an elevator that goes up. And I don't remember what floor she lived on because I never made it up to her apartment. Because the guys said, yeah, you just wait here. We'll take care of this. You stay here with the victim. Like, oh, the girl has to babysit the girl, huh? Stupid. So I was kind of just like peeved at because it's my call. Like, and all these guys that show up for arrest team, like, nobody wants to stand by with the victim. So they go in the fucking elevator, and she's telling me that he's, this like MMA cage fighter guy, whatever. And I honestly don't know what fucking happened. There's only one elevator for this tiny little shithole apartment building. And like no sooner does the elevator door close that those fuckers go up, that the elevator door opens and the biggest human being I've ever seen in my entire fucking life walks out of the elevator with 2 duffel bags in his hands because he's leaving town. And she goes, "That's him." And I'm like, oh, for shit's sake. So I'm backing up this set of stairs because I do not want to be fighting this guy on a set of fucking stairs. And he's a monster. And I'm totally by myself. And I'm like, how did he pass these fucking idiots? Where are they? And like, why aren't they coming back down? And I didn't hear them say anything. They were just like, oh, could I hold the elevator for you, sir? Like, the only thing I could think is that they were different races. Maybe they didn't think that they looked like a couple. That's the only thing I could think. I'm not going to give away their races, but this guy is a fucking monster. And so I just was like, okay, I got to get myself out of this one. So I said, all right, this bitch, she's talking a bunch of shit. I don't even believe her. I think she's full of it. But I got to talk to you, dude. So could you just like, but I'm not going to talk to you until you're in handcuffs. Can you just turn around and put your hands behind your back? And then we'll sort this out and you'll be on your way. And she was like, fuck you. He threw me through this. You shut the fuck up. I yelled at her. And I was like, I know that's bad to be yelling at my bleeding victim standing next to me, but I'm going to die. I can't fight this guy. And so luckily he was dumb as hell. And he was like, oh, okay. So he turns around. It took 3 sets of handcuffs for his hands to be able to be secured behind his back. I don't know how he wipes his ass. It's not my problem. But luckily, I'm probably the only P2 that had 3 sets of handcuffs on me. And I'm like, if I put out a backup, he's going to know that like people are coming and it's going to like make him all heightened. So I didn't even put out a backup. And I hooked him up. And I was like, all right, I'll talk to you in a minute, but I'm not liking what's coming out of her mouth. It sounds totally unreasonable. It sounds like she did this shit to herself. And I think you're going to be cool. Like, you seem really cool to me. So just hang out for a minute and wait till my partner comes back so that we can get her out of the way so we can talk. And he was like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going as well as it is. And then the elevator doors open like 7 hours later, and all the guys on the elevator come out, and they're kind of looking like, yeah, I don't know. Wait, how did you get this guy into custody? Like, bro, how did you pass him in the fucking hall, you dumbasses? So, yeah, so Hollywood was like a place. I loved Hollywood in theory because it's every kind of person, every kind of crime. It really is the most like varied place in the city. And I wanted to do my whole career there. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
I got a similar story to what you just said. We were working like a specialized unit, and my partner, Addie, I can say her name, Addie Bauman, like awesome cop. Her heart was as big as I don't know what. So one cop, he's got a beanbag shotgun. Another guy has a what do you call that thing that you hit the people with? I haven't been a cop in so long.
You could hit anybody with anything.
The baton. And another guy, he has out a taser. And they're talking to this young guy. He looks like a young Denzel Washington mixed with handsomeness. And but he's crazy. He's out of his mind, no shirt on. He's got dirt all over him. She just walks through the cops and she goes, what are you doing? He said, they're bothering me. She said, sit down. So he sits down. She's like, cross your legs. He said, but they're bothering me. And she said, are you hungry? He goes, yeah, I'm hungry. She goes, she gets her lunch, gives it to him. She goes, I bet you want something to drink too, huh? I could use something to drink. Gives him her water from the car, and he's completely calm. And all of the male cops are looking at each other like, what's really going on? And I get so pissed when they're like, we should only have male cops, or we should have more female, or it's just, don't worry about the gender. Sometimes it works out best when Molly's talking to the suspect or when I'm talking to the suspect or whatever. And there was no use of force, nothing happened. And everyone's like, why didn't you guys tune him up? And it's like, he's 24. She's got the motherly thing going on. code force, suspect in custody.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where let's just switch. Like if we pull a girl, we pull this girl over. I don't even know what the fuck she was doing. She was driving like shit. And we pull her over, my partner, male, speaking to her in the window. And she's like, I could see when we're pulling her over, I'm running the car and I'm looking at her and I could see her like start to like get ready for like the traffic ticket, you know? And so he comes to the window and she's like, oh, I was just looking at my horoscope. Like you're driving like that because you're looking at your fucking horoscope. And so the waterworks. And I just see these two eyes like up over the top of the fucking hood of the car. And he does this. And I'm like, all right. So we switch. And I'm like, all right, you know, like you're getting a ticket, whatever. Because they won't cry. They won't cry for me. But yeah, with domestic violence ones, I like to be the one to hook the guy up. So when we're going to a domestic violence call, I always told my male partner, like, you get the girl, I get the guy. I think it's real important for women to see another woman come in their house and take charge of their man. Like,
my partner had the guy and I had the girl, and we switched. And when she turned around, he and I were under the car fighting, and she's like, "Why did I let you get the guy?" Yeah. Because there's something about female voices when it comes to us males. That's why they a lot of times Siri and Alexa, Siri, what time is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I had a naked guy on PCP beating his chest on top of a taxi once, and he was screaming the N-word, and like it was a whole bunch of people were gathering, and at this point he hasn't committed a crime, but like clearly he's a danger to himself or others. So we took him to the hospital, and he was fine with me. I talked him off of the top of the car and into handcuffs. You're doing real good. You could tell he was fucking just zinging on something, and put him in the back of the car. So nice, so gentle. The moment I closed the door on him, he kicked the window out and just became a wild fucking animal again and was like, well, the window's gone now. Let's just keep driving. Like, go. And so we get him to the hospital, and man, I don't know anything about medical stuff, but whatever it was, they were pushing a lot of something through his fucking veins to get him to like calm down. And at some point, the paramedics, fire department or whatever were there, and he grabbed he's handcuffed to the bed, and he grabs the firefighter's hand, and the firefighter's other hand goes up and busts the guy's nose and like grabbed it and was like holding him by his nose, just going like, you better fucking whatever. And I was like, okay, whoa. So we call our supervisor, like, there was a use of force, but we didn't have anything to do with it. Oh, the firefighters? Yeah, they could do whatever they want. Like, okay, well, if this guy complains about a broken nose, like it wasn't us. I was in the room though. And these nurses, I mean, they can just legally do all kinds of stuff to them. Whatever it was, they were like, okay, 30 cc's or whatever. And she's like, I already did that 3 times. Do it again. Like, whoa, like, I don't know what they're putting in the guy, but it was more than the doctor had ordered. And it just sucks because I feel like mental illness is such a huge issue in the city of Los Angeles. And
yeah, but they'll love you, Molly, and hate me, or they'll hate me, and it'll be the same suspect.
Yeah.
I'm going with her. I'm not talking to you. I'm like, we're saying the same exact, and you have to be like, Agard, I get it.
Right. And if it's not working, partner, switch. Like.
But back to mental illness. Do you think it's the drug use? Do you think it's the
Dude, that's a lot of it. Yeah. But they've done studies on people totally normal, you or me, no history of mental illness, no history of drug use. And they've put them on the streets, and after 30 days, they start to exhibit signs of mental illness. And it really is that heightened paranoia because you're afraid somebody's going to try to jack your shit or fuck with you, or, you know, I got to move, or where's the cops, or whatever. It's that kind of, it turns you sort of more like animalistic because you're just in this heightened state of anxiety constantly with no like downtime. And I think that's part of it. I think part of it is just the welfare society that's growing there, because after Hollywood division, I went to Pacific, and you've got a huge amount of these, 17 to 24-year-old kids from the Midwest that decide to be runaways and move to the beach and decide that they want to just be a surfer and live in a tent, and it's warm enough that you can have homeless people year round. 43 degrees here today, but in Hollywood, it's like 60, 70, 80. It's totally nice. And in 2012, I had a case that kind of involved welfare fraud. And so in 2012, the average California welfare recipient was making $65,000 a year in benefits and to not go to work. And an LAPD officer, I think, was hired for $43,000 a year. And so once you start to see that welfare and all these projects and things really add to or subtract to the quality of life of everything around them, because if you're not working, then you're like getting into trouble. And
well, you need purpose and productivity. And when I stop a guy who's panhandling and he makes $101,000 a year and he's got $1,500 in his pocket, that's a problem. And I'm like, did you steal this? And he broke it down. He's like, I get this from assistance. I get this from WIC. I get this from EBT. Mm-hmm. And
I got sued by a guy. He would stand in the middle of the road and knock on your window and beg for change from the cars that were in traffic. And I'd always like stop these guys and be like, hey, here, you want some sunscreen? Do you want some baby wipes? Like, just, you got to get out of the road. Because it creates 911 calls, and I don't want to be having to like blast back over here just to shoo you on the side of the road. Go panhandle over there. Yeah, but I don't make as much money there. Well, then I'll give you a ticket, sir. And every time I pass you, it's going to cost you $59. Like, get the fuck out of the road. It's 21954A of the California Vehicle Code or whatever it is. And so I gave this one guy several tickets. I warned him a couple of times. And then I was just like, I mean, not to be in the road. So I would give him a ticket, and every time I pass you, it's going to cost you $59. I'm done. Oh, come on. You warned me before. Exactly. I warned you before. So like it's done. It's not like you're ignorant of the law or common sense. You've created 911 calls. Anyway, he sued me because he owned a mansion on Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. It was very high money. And this dude is standing in the road looking like a schlub, trying to appeal to your sympathies with his sunburn, like holding his sign, getting money from people. He was making a shit ton of money doing that. And he sued me because he said it was classism, because I was giving him a ticket because I didn't like him because he had money and I didn't like him panhandling. I'm like, bro, I literally gave you a ticket for 21954A of the California Vehicle Code. Like, you're in the road. You've been in the road. I've warned you multiple times, whatever. And it went nowhere. And, or maybe he took me to traffic court, but I do remember having to testify against him and him just like, what's your evidence? And he was just an asshole. But yeah, I mean, I think I really liked LAPD for that, for Spirit of the Law, because especially when you have a city that is just so rampant with big stuff, sometimes it starts with the little stuff, and the little stuff is just a tool to prevent big stuff. And I think, because we'll talk in a few minutes, but I did work for another agency after LAPD, and I
wanted to kind of say something about the homeless thing, because a lot of people do not understand homelessness. So homeless comes in about 5 different flavors. There's homeless, you've had health issues or maybe marital, or maybe you're just down on your luck. And we all can feel sorry for those people. Then there's what you said, which is they call them, they're voluntarily homeless. Like they come out for the weather and the freebies. Mm-hmm. I want to live off the grid. Then there's mental illness and drugs, which kind of go together. And I think that's 4 of them. And the 5th I always forget. So anyways, that first one, definitely you should feel sorry for. And there's certain stuff that that needs to be done for them. And then this isn't even a form of homelessness. It's just California has made it a business and they make money off of homeless people. So Molly and I and cops are not heartless and mean and cruel to homeless people. There's more to it than what you guys think. It's not we're kicking somebody's tent over and saying you're homeless, you're a jerk. There's just more to it.
And we actually lost a lawsuit, LAPD did, from the ACLU or something. And if we saw a dirty needle on the sidewalk, we were not allowed to discard it because that could be somebody that is unhoused and they could be coming back for it later. Like, fuck you, it's a needle on the side. Like, laws sometimes make absolutely no sense. In West LA, we had the VA, and the VA had all these dormitories and housing on the property. Beautiful place, San Vicente and Wilshire Boulevard. And if you were sober and not beating people, you could stay on the VA property for free. But they didn't want to be sober. So they just pitched their tent on the fence line of the property and go panhandle, drink and do drugs on the sidewalk, wait for their check, and then come back out and then panhandle. And so the way that they would panhandle in this intersection is very organized. And it is like that at every freeway off-ramp, at every major intersection. We have shifts. And so Randy's shift goes from 12 to 2. I go from 2 to 4. Somebody else is after me. But Randy got up late this morning, so he wants to stay after 2 because he only got there at 1. And I'm like, well, fuck you. My shift is at 2. It's all very organized. And so that causes all these fights, and you'd have people hitting each other in the head with lead pipes and breaking each other's legs and, throwing each other into cars. And now it's caused this catastrophic issue where now, Randy has brain damage from my lead pipe, and the state of California and the city of Los Angeles is paying for all of that medical treatment. They pay for me to go to jail, and your insurance subsidizes fights that are getting thrown into your car or us, breaking your window because you didn't give us $1 on the sidewalk. So it really isn't about like, oh, these poor people, because they're getting $65,000 a year in benefits to not have anything to fucking do. They're not paying for gas. They're not paying for electricity. They're not paying for a car. And so $65,000 a year, that's a lot of cigarettes and weed and alcohol. But crime costs everyone. And I think that California really just first started to see it, with Prop 4757, AB 109, where if you steal less than $950, it's just a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor is pushing the grocery cart to the bus stop and then taking your bags onto the bus and leaving the cart there. That's a misdemeanor. Stealing $950, think about the most amount of food you've ever thrown into a shopping cart is not $900. And when I made detective, we had a guy who used to do it like 4 times a day. And the district attorney said, no, take it to the city attorney. These are separate misdemeanors. But he leaves knowing he's going to come back. He is entering the structure for the specified reason of stealing more than the $950. This is a circuit for him. And he had 16 prior probations for theft. 16 prior cases where he was convicted of this rotating theft. And I'm like, well, surely you're going to do something about it this time. And he got probation for the 17th time. Like, what judge looks at that and goes, yeah, that seems reasonable. I'm sure he'll stop any day now.
Let me explain why what you're saying is so bad. Because what people are hearing is they're just stealing food so they can feed their families. They're stealing it so they can use drugs. And when you say it's okay that they're doing this, you're telling them, go ahead and kill yourself. Because when they buy all those drugs and now they're bent over and their brain is fried, you did that. You hooked them up because you said it's okay for you to steal all that. Not to mention the people that work at these stores, they're young ladies, they're black, they're brown, they don't have that much money. So you can't pay them that much because this person is stealing for drugs. And it's so funny. It's the people who support all of this stuff that it's hurting. Like, we're a marginalized community, and okay, but you want
Yeah.
this guy to come in and steal all this crap, not to feed his family, but so that he can do some fentanyl and
Yeah.
get his party on.
Yeah, it's like with the theft of the most common stuff, which is the baby formula, the batteries, the razors, the Tide laundry soap. And then they go sell it at these swap meets, or somebody puts out a blanket and they're selling it on the sidewalk. And so, one, you have to pay more every time you go into the store for anything, because so much Tide and batteries and razors and formula have been stolen. You have to subsidize that because their insurance goes up, their loss goes up. They have to pay loss prevention now. Everything has to be fucking locked up. You got all these Walgreens and stuff being closed all over the state of California. And they're not the only ones. It's CVS, it's all of them. But not only that, but then when I'm selling my shit on my blanket, all my stolen stuff, the gang comes in and they tax those people for holding this garage sale on the sidewalk. And then you've got people that are truly in wheelchairs that can't get around it because there's all this shit for sale on the sidewalk. So they're riding their wheelchair in the street now. And that's like all of downtown LA. Like, I urge you guys to all go on Google Maps and put yourself at 5th and Wall and just see how beautiful the city of Los Angeles is.
So that answered the chat's question. Why are little things such a big deal? Because that gang that goes, let's make up a gang. Green Street goes and says, I'm taxing Molly who's selling her little stuff on the street. Well, Brown gang, oh, that's pretty good money you're making over there. Well, we're not paying taxes. So now when they go shoot up when Brown gang goes shoots up Green gang, they don't go to the range, so they don't know where they're shooting. And oh my God, how'd that 4-year-old get shot? Because they're fighting over, there was money to be made from that little tiny thing.
Yeah.
And people they don't put all of this together.
And that happened in my neighborhood. There was a guy, illegal alien, that was selling CDs on a blanket. And the gang came over, I think it was 18th Street, and said, time to pay the tax. And he was like, I'm not fucking paying the tax. And they shot his 17-day-old baby or something. That was 100 years ago. But so it's not about oh, well, how else is he supposed to make a living? Not adding to all the crime. I can't tell you all the answers, but that's not the answer. To let people stand in the middle of the road and bang on windows so that people are, Well,
what happens is people's ideologies and their emotions and the misinformation, what they're saying is, you oppressors in your military uniform, you're coming and you're stomping out them just trying to make a living. No, if we do everything the right way, and I'm not saying it's about the left or the right, but each side does some wacky crap and it causes this stuff. So for LA, I'm just going to say it. It's liberal, goofy policies where it's like, hey, go do what you want. And when that guy gets smoked, they're like, well, my ideology and my emotions are still intact. And here's something that's kind of, I'm not going to say it's cool, but it's starting to hit Rodeo. Is it Rodeo Drive or Rodeo?
It's Rodeo.
It's starting to hit Rodeo, and it's starting to hit all of these goofballs who are like,
that's the fancy street in Beverly Hills where all the high-end jewelry places are and stuff.
Yeah, when they started getting targeted,
smash and grabs and
see, they were all for it when you were going down to the hood and you were doing all this stuff. They're like, they don't need cops, but now that it's them getting smoked, they're like, maybe defund wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, well, Beverly Hills police is a whole nother animal. They're allowed to do a lot more because they're not in the eye as much. I think when you think of cop shows, it's like NYPD and LAPD, maybe Chicago or Boston or something like that. But you're not really looking at all these billions of small agencies. And they know it. And West LA borders with Culver City. And Culver City would not take a report for street robberies and stuff because they didn't want the people that are paying Culver City taxes to know that there was crime going on. And my sergeant, we were chasing a robbery suspect, and my sergeant shot a guy in the head in Culver City. He was taking off out of the Trader Joe's or something over there on like Washington Boulevard. And Culver City was like, just sweep that under the rug. No, we just want our people to know that that robbery did not occur in the city of, Culver City. Like, you guys are safe. Like, it is interesting. But so I want you to tell your Christopher Dorner story. So if you're not a crime junkie, Christopher Dorner was an LAPD cop and just an idiot. There's a lot of people that shouldn't be on the job. And they hired this guy. He had shot himself in the academy. The academy is so strict at really breaking you down to the very beginning of like touching a gun or knowing all the nomenclature and manipulations and all of the stuff before you're even allowed to have a bullet. But you are not allowed to leave the range with any ammunition at all whatsoever, certainly not allowed to take it home. So at any rate, what had happened was he gets shot through his hand and at home. And of course, it's a huge use of force investigation. They're going to get down to the bottom of it. He's just an idiot in the academy. And they're like, okay, what happened? And Christopher Dorner says, oh yeah, this dog was attacking me. And, for fear of my life and immediate defense of my life, I shot to protect myself from this dog. Okay, so explain it to me. Okay, yeah, this dog. And so I was like trying to push the dog and I shot. And they were like, okay, so you're pushing the dog and you shot. Yeah. And they're like, then how come the bullet went through the palm of your hand to the back of your hand? And like 3 days later, this lying piece of shit, Christopher Dorner, says, I was cleaning my gun and I accidentally shot myself. So you took home ammunition, totally against the rules. You ignored the 4 basic safety rules of firearms. Guns are always loaded. Never allow the muzzle to cover anything that you do not intend to shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are aligned on target and you intend to shoot, blah, blah, blah. So, and you shot yourself. You got into a use of force, a negligent discharge of your firearm, and you lied about it. There was serious bodily injury, and you lied about it. And it was just an idiot. I don't really know how to take that person off, but there's somebody in the chat that's an idiot, so I don't know what to do about that, but whatever. I can star them. That probably isn't going to work.
Starve.
Yeah, I don't know. There we go. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Exit full screen. There we go. Let's take that off. I don't even know how to take it off. Hide. There we go. I don't know why you're in my chat, sir, but
Don't worry about it.
So this is what's interesting, though, because police aren't very widely received. There are obviously people, view the chat, that clearly need parenting. And parenting isn't very popular, but there's obviously people that truly have a very, I don't know what to say. Like, I would say if there's one thing that criminals have, it's that inability to control their, I can't think of the word. So, okay, in a moment.
Urges?
What?
Urges?
Yeah, urges. And so
I'm
going to give you. Huh? Oh, yeah. So, okay, in a moment, there's a red button and a green moment. And in a moment, okay, hold on, just 1 second. Like, just wait. Like, and it's that inability to control yourself that I think is like criminal activity. So whoever this guy is that's posting all this stupidity is like an inability to parent yourself and to just be reasonable and get along with people. And it sucks because it's like, it just takes one idiot to kind of like take over other people just enjoying their lives and stuff.
So when you're a cop, I'm not the smartest person in the world. Matter of fact, I've been the dumbest person in the room a lot. But when you're a cop, you kind of see people's lives and you see a lot of stuff as it's just common sense. And when I saw the thing we just went through and defund the police, I immediately became smarter than half of this country because their thought was if we would just get rid of police, all of these problems would go away. And the reason why I'm venting and the reason why it pisses me off so much is more people who look like me got killed because of and I'm gonna curse this dipshit. Like you just oh my god, like okay, so here's the thing with crime. You commit crime, it is what it is. That you're part of the game. And it's these dumb assholes who support all of this. Like, I'll give you a good example. You have a politician, they're full of crap and they're doing X, Y, and Z. Snake is gonna snake. You're a scumbag, that's who you are. But it's always like dipshits like this who are like, well, no, you don't know. You don't know anything. Like, we're the ones who are plumbers. We're the ones who are electricians. We're the ones who are, and here comes your stupid ass. Well, I saw on YouTube one time, you think you know. I did 10 years, you did 13 years. That's 23 years.
Yeah, with that whole 2020 thing, it's like, just go do a ride along. I don't think people really understand what the job is about.
No, because here's the thing.
They couldn't
you should watch One Adam 12 or you should watch Dragnet. That's reality of policing.
But
pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
He said, well, it shows radio calls and stuff like that.
Dragnet was like, oh, I got you. Like, you're right. I did it. Like, they always confess. They're always gentlemen. They just sit there while they're like writing the report out. And
but it's more realistic than shoot the knife out of his hand. And
oh, yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'm going to get in a shooting and go right back to work.
But End of Watch, that's a film. End of Watch really shows the camaraderie and what goes on in that car. That shit can be the best day of your life and the worst day of your life. But all you know is that you're with that guy and he's with you, and like everything about him or not, like you're a team and that's it. Obviously, they don't show all the paperwork and like minutia that the job is. But as far as camaraderie, End of Watch is maybe the best cop film I've ever seen.
Other than marriage, policing is the most intimate, and not romantic intimate. I have to depend on you to save my life if it goes sideways. Like, you are my help call, my backup, my officer needs assistance.
Yeah.
So
hey, tell us about your backup when you with the coffee can.
So we had a radio call to domestic violence. When we got there, this guy was just talking unintelligible, sound maybe like it was Spanish or Portuguese. He backs up with the coffee. It's me and my partner. We're there, and then another unit came and backed us, and they all have their baton. Their guns out. He doesn't have anything in his hand, so I have my baton. But the way I'm holding it, like, geez, this thing is showing up backwards. Anyways, I'm holding it where the little part of the handle is up. So he backs up, and he throws a coffee can, like the old ones, and it breaks my middle finger. If you know anything about policing, your primary hand is everything. So I can't write, I can't hold my gun. So my partner, it was almost like he flew. He jumps on top of him, they fall on the bed, and he's hitting him with his baton. And there's blood falling on my partner. And I'm like, batons don't work like that. Like, he's not striking him with it. It's almost like he's jabbing him with it. The blood came from the suspect had stabbed my partner with a broken umbrella. And it was my partner's blood. So code 4, we get him in custody, and my hand's broken. So I can't work. LAPD keeps calling me, and they're like, can you come back? You can just work the front desk. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Because when I went back, my hand was swollen like a sausage from writing reports. Mm-hmm. And that's when I got my addiction to pain pills. Started abusing pain pills, hydrocodones, messed up the way I thought, my memory. I was agitated. I'm using them. I'm drinking. I'm just doing all the stuff with them I'm not supposed to be on.
And I had no idea. I knew that you had broken your hand, but we were hanging out a bunch. You were coming over and we were going to clubs and stuff. And you'd have like half a beer and pass out on my couch. And we're like, the cab is like here to go to the club and you're asleep. And it's like, bro, how are you this big of a fucking lightweight? Like, fuck you. Come on, I'm all dressed up. We were going to the club. What happened to the plan? And I had no idea for years that that's what it was.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say addiction. I was abusing him. No, addiction's right. I was abusing him. So I'm abusing him. I'm not realizing, dude, you're not taking them as prescribed. So LAPD had a sting off of Craigslist in the dating portion of it. I answered it. I'm talking to this who I thought was a girl, and it wasn't. And here's what's funny. I stopped responding to her, and she goes, "Hey, did I lose you? Where are you at? You're not interested anymore?" Now it's become entrapment. So did I commit a crime? I'll say I did, because the crime was intent to furnish. So I thought about giving it to her. And between me and you and everyone listening, if she would have wanted 4 or 6 or whatever, I would have given them to her.
And you're saying pills.
Say again?
You're saying pills. And I think what people should know your backstory, though, is that you were cleaning up the town with ladies. Like you got a lot of attention from beautiful women constantly, and on the dating apps and stuff. And
so even when they tried to say was prostitution, they saw, no, he's dating everyone. And then when they said, so then they tried to make it, oh, he's a drug dealer. So they came to my house, they raided my house. Molly, I save everything. I'm a hoarder. So I have like my greenies from when I was in the LAPD 20 years ago. And greenies, for those who don't know, that's your overtime. So I have everything. So it wasn't consistent with where's his drug paraphernalia? Where's his skills?
And that's what's crazy, because first of all, I didn't know anything about it. I got a call from my old partner, Marquise Clark, who said, "Didn't you know Randy Agard?" And I'm driving to Arizona to go see my family for the holidays or something. And I'm like, didn't I know? Like, he's not here. Wait, what's going on? Where is Randy? Like, we heard he got booked. Like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? And I called you and nothing picked up, but that's not a big surprise. Sometimes you don't pick up. And I'm trying to think of like who would know what happened. And I got a hold of Nick Gutierrez, and he's like, yeah, I already got booked. And I'm like, okay, booked is better than dead, because Marquise didn't know anything. And I was so terrified because I didn't know what happened. And it's weird with LAPD because you're not allowed to have any help. Like, you're not allowed to have an advocate. And I think that's so wrong. But also, I just want to go back to the actual incident, because you guys are talking back and forth, you and this girl, and that's a sting.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I feel like LAPD at that point was trying to get you, because
they were, because you can do a workup from the phone. Like, whose phone is this? Oh, Randy Agard. Oh, there's not that many Randy Agards in LA. So,
if any,
other than speaking to you, I spoke to another narcotics detective, and he's like, "This is a bunch of BS." Spoke to a sheriff. They said it was a bunch of BS. The first judge we went to go see, they said, "Why are you doing this to this guy?" And he said, "She whispers, he's a cop." And so
but I think Hollywood already knew that you were on the apps, though, because at that point they were already rat fucking you. So I was working with a piece of shit. That's the whole thing. That's kind of funny. And then you guys work together, and shit goes down through no fault of your own, and you observe misconduct and had to tell. And that's it. That's the policy. And after you told, those captains treated both of us like we were fucking evil. Well, actually, they treated you like that. And every day they were fucking with you, giving you notices to correct and beefs and saying, oh, you pulled over an old lady for a cell phone ticket and she thought that you should have warned her. Here's another complaint. Here's a complaint. Here's a complaint. And you didn't do anything wrong. And it was that guy. And I want to know why this guy is so magical, because he was a piece of shit when I worked with every day. We would have calls because we were married up, meaning that we got assigned to work together. And every day he was an idiot. And then we finally, and he said, women aren't allowed to drive. I'm like, first of all, I don't even give a shit. Like, you're my chauffeur. Like, I'm the eyes and ears of this car. You're just driving me there. I decide what calls we're going to take, what cars we're going to run, who I'm going to look at, what we're going to do. And you're just driving. So I didn't care that he said that. And so one day, of course, the whole watch knew that he was saying this. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Today, I'm going to show you that women do drive. And we end up getting in a pursuit. It was a little crazy. And now here's this guy who's like, I did my probation in Rampart. Like, I'm Mr. fucking badass. Like, he was always trying to tell me that he knew more than me, that he was so much more prepared for shit than I was because I did my probation in West LA and he was some fucking badass. And we go in pursuit of 5 heads in a stolen car. And I'm driving and we are now driving, fishtailing, doing all of it. And he is like in the door holding on going, go, 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 like put it out. And I'm yelling at him. And the first thing that was broadcast was me, whatever we were, 6X66, show me code 6 on a code 37 vehicle. I have 3 at gunpoint. I am code 4 here. I need additional units for 2 running westbound, male Hispanics, baseball cap, shorts. Everybody shows up. They get into custody. Why? The whole watch wanted to know why I was the one broadcasting. And it's like, I got to talk to my partner. Why did he choke? Like, and I was like, bro, what happened? He's like, I didn't know you could drive like that. Bro, like, what the fuck? So every day was some crazy story where he just had such bad judgment. And I went to our watch commander, and he was a weird guy, and said, this guy's going to get somebody fired or killed. Like, I don't want to work with him anymore. And I don't mean to be salty. I know that I'm like brand new on the job. I can't work with this guy. He's really going to get somebody in trouble. And if you want to assign a sergeant to sit in the back seat and watch what happens, like, that's cool with me. But like, I can't work with this guy. That's the only reason that he was assigned to work with you. And then you guys were only together like a week or two when this nonsense happened. And you were absolutely 100% in the right, just morally, ethically, by the book to tell
Well, they told me some of the people investigating it said to lie. And then what they did was, when I didn't lie, they went behind my back to find out, hey, did he lie? And when they found out I didn't lie, they were like, well, let's start implementing some other stuff. Because the way the ad was put into the Craigslist was, it was extremely specific. I live in a certain area, and they put the area.
Especially because I've worked other divisions, but Hollywood was notorious for having a burn wall where the captains had pictures of every one of us motherfuckers. And like, okay, this complaint comes in or this commendation comes in, and they like decide what they're going to do, like based off of who you are. And that's what I don't really understand, because that guy that we both worked with was guilty of sexual misconduct under the color of authority, plus a bunch of felonious assholery and idiocy that they could have fired him over. So why was he protected is really the big story that you and I weren't even allowed to talk about for years, because you were arrested. We could not talk about it. They sent you to rehab. I visited you. I didn't even know what kind of rehab it was. Was it for sex addiction? Like, I've seen you pass out with half a beer, so I didn't think it was alcoholism. I didn't know you to do any drugs. I had no idea why you were in the rehab, just that you needed provisions, laundry basket, whatever. And we just sat there together. And I've just never felt so in the dark and so helpless.
Well, it goes back to the whole, you get in trouble and there's no, Donner, for all of the stuff that happened with Donner, you should have had someone that could talk to him. And the thing with me was, Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. And there was officers, and I won't say who they were, but to their credit, they were like, we're going to come and we're going to, and to your credit, you didn't ask me about it, and I didn't tell you about it. So we stayed, we did what we were supposed to do. And then kind of back to what you were saying about Donner. I know we're all over the place, but I knew him in the academy, and how it works is, like I said, I was 405 and he was whatever class he was. And again, chat, forgive me, or audience, forgive me for going back and forth, but everything ties in. Donner had shot himself in the hand. He comes back to the academy, and he gets in trouble for whatever happened with him and his training officer. Then he kind of starts going and he's hunting cops. And it's so funny. My girlfriend of the time was at my house and she goes, "You think he's anywhere near us?" And I go, "No, he's in LA. He's just an LAPD copper." He was 7 miles away within my city. I had also had, so we get a certain amount of days off. So we got 4 days. I got 4 days off, and then I got another 3 days off. But I worked one in the middle, and I said, I'm getting a mini vacation here. So I took the 1 day in the middle off to make it an 8-day vacation. And my partner goes, "Agard, I can't believe you took the day off. I'm on the bench." So they took our car that we worked, like how you said 6X66. That's the designation of your car. So she and I were working, I don't know what car it was. Anyways, 6X31. So they sent it to go protect, I believe it's a captain or a commander. And I know the chat is going to remember this. When the LAPD officers shot up the two Hispanic ladies, newspaper ladies. They were delivering newspapers. They shot that car up. I was supposed to have been there shooting that car up, which I don't think I would have. I mean, because they were in a car that matched the description of Donner. So here's how much I matched.
It wasn't the same make.
Yeah, it wasn't the same. So how crazy this whole thing continues to get is Donner's he was pissed off at his lawyer, and I'm not gonna say his name. LAPD had a lawyer
ever.
Yeah.
That lawyer is
he deletes his daughter and fiance. That lawyer was my lawyer for my case, and he said, "I can't handle your case because what happened with Donner." So all of this stuff is all interconnected as far as Donner and me, and I don't even really know the guy. But
yeah,
when you ask what happened,
trying to get you to sue the department with him, saying, "Let's just say that they're racist. Come on."
Yeah,
and you were like, "Bro, they're trying to fuck with you because you're a soup sandwich. Get it together. Like, your training officer's right. When you need to do that, it's not about." And we had a girl like that at West LA. She had all this makeup on and these big cocktail rings and like all the stuff. And she had a real hard ass training officer that was like, "Take all that shit off." And that girl cried. She was on probation, cried to me in the parking lot one day saying she's jealous of me and she wants me to like not wear makeup to work. Like, dude, don't wear makeup to work. Why do you need to wear fucking makeup to work? Like, good people don't care if you have makeup on. Bad people, now you're in a fight. So maybe she has more training and experience to know that you shouldn't wear freaking makeup. And, it's really interesting when people think they're a victim based off of whatever the fuck is in their head. And it's like, it really has nothing to do with reality. And Dorner had, said that the training officer had beat up some transient, and it took them forever, but they found that transient. The transient was like, "No, that training officer's totally cool." But Dorner at that point was trying to pass probation. After shooting himself, they let him keep the job. And he was just a liar, and he had no integrity, and he wasn't a good cop. The job's not fit for everybody. And so trying to get you to sue LAPD with him, like, "Oh, come on, like, it'll be the black guys against the city of Los Angeles." And you were like, "Fuck off, dude. You're a soup sandwich. Like, I don't want anything to do with you." But when the shit went down with your arrest, I mean, I think that's one thing that LAPD really does need to fix. I didn't have anything to do with that incident. You should have been able to have somebody that you could talk to about it, because we would have been in trouble if we would have talked about it, or if you would have gotten any kind of help from anyone. And I think that's so wrong. It was so isolating for you.
LAPD has establishment and institutionalized shortcomings, but it's not, how do I say this? It wasn't race, but a big thing with LAPD, and I don't mean it that officer that you see in the black and white. I mean, the institution itself has a problem with being vindictive. Like, they can hold a grudge against you for 30 years. And LAPD does this weird thing where, Molly, I hate you. You're now my roommate. And I've told you about it. I don't understand why they're like, you're in Hollywood. I don't like you. I'm going to keep you in Hollywood. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, stay here with me. And my point,
because when that happened, I took off. I was on loan back to West LA for October.
But you had warned me. You said, get out of Hollywood. You're like,
I told you to get out. Yeah. But that was because I was told to get out, because they had a sergeant from Hollywood that called me and said, hey, we want to send you on loan so Randy was going through all this shit, and they were fucking with him every day was some kind of a complaint or a notice to correct, or just rat fucking him, paper fucking him every day in Hollywood. And he asked me, what should I do? And I was like, I don't know anything. You should get a rep. And then I get called in to the captain's office, and these motherfuckers said to me,
Tell them about the radio call when you were in my car. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were in my car. They sent a radio call of something to handle.
Oh, the fucking hot dogs. The hot dogs?
When they heard the girl. Huh?
The hot dogs?
No, it was the grape. The essay. They sent, I don't want to say her name. She sends a call to my car, and you're like, Roger, en route. And she's like, oh, disregard.
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't brass. That was low down the totem pole.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, Randy was chased at that station by two little hoe bags that screwed their way through the station, then were next door with the fire department. They were a hot mess. But I'm talking about brass. Yeah. And I have an old training officer from West LA, LAPD, is watching on YouTube, and he says he's an hour behind, so he'll find out eventually. Ted, love you. And Hank also is not watching on YouTube, good friend. But then they started fucking with me, and they were trying to tell me that I was a paid sex worker or something, that I had a website, that I was a burlesque dancer. And that fucking captain was like, oh, don't worry about it, Molly. I used to model Speedos. Well, I never modeled Speedos. Like, fuck you. And then they tried to paper fuck me with you, and we had to sign a notice to correct that we crashed a cop car and didn't tell anybody about it. And we crashed it like 2 months ago, and somehow nobody noticed until today. Cool. Can I see our mileage that we dropped it in at? And can I see the car to see what the mileage is at? Because you don't necessarily always sign a car out to go grab dinner for the watch commander or whatever. Like, first of all, we didn't fucking crash a car. I would know if we crashed a car. And this car was like a fucking metal meatball. It wasn't like a door ding or something. This shit, like, we'd still have back problems. So we didn't crash this car, but they wanted us to sign that we did. And like, I cried the whole way over to the station to go sign this paper. And I called and talked to Karina Lee or some rep and was like, what do I do? And she's like, just sign it. Just sign it. You have 30 days to beef it. She said, but if you beef it, then you have to, you could be on the chopping block more. If this is all it is, just sign it. And I never disputed it, that we crashed this fucking stupid car. But you didn't get out. I went on loan to Pacific Division. I got 2 commendations my first week for observation arrests of some burglary for motor vehicle suspects. And I was like, I'll just be sending a copy of those to Hollywood so they know that I'm a good cop. And they said, are you going to come back? And I was like, absolutely. And then I talked to a sergeant at West LA who was suing West LA. And he said, get the fuck out. And that's why I told you to get the fuck out, because if you do your very best, they're not going to give you a commendation. If you do one little thing wrong, they're going to fuck you forever. And I think you believed in the system that it would blow over.
Well, I was told by, and it wasn't Captain B. Gramala, it was another captain. He said, you're making too much noise. He said, even if it's not your fault. And then they told you, we're messing with you, but it's not about you. It's actually about.
Yep. It was a sergeant that told me in the hallway next to the booking bench, this isn't about you. Do you understand that? It's not about you. Just sign it.
Well, Molly, I have to say something. One of the things that they asked me was, how do you have a house? How do you have 5 cars? My house might be worth a lot, but it looks like a trailer. And the cars that I have I don't have credit cards. I don't have kids. I don't have student loans. I don't have any of that stuff. So you're giving me a P2's pay, which was 80,000 plus since you've known me. I was working LAPD and a second job. So they're like, oh, you must be. And they knew I wasn't selling drugs, because when they investigated, they're like, oh, nothing was making sense. Like, they investigated everything. Nothing made sense. They're like, this guy's not a drug dealer. Even the judge, when he did my sentence, he goes, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Bad things happen to good people. And I was like, the judges knew this was personal. They're like, this is a big rat.
Yeah, that's why I think it was a setup, besides the fact that you didn't even do anything, which is interesting, because back when I was a prostitute, when I was working undercover, you had to have an act of furtherance to be able to prosecute. It's not enough to say, hey, how much for a blowjob? They had to meet you at the door or do some other act to show that they actually meant to pay for this or have some kind of exchange. And you didn't have that. If you said, because you met this girl online and she said, come to my house and fuck me before work. And you're like, yeah, I'll be right over. And so for you to show up at the door, and she had said stuff, and in your defense, like, you have been so naive, and I don't know if it's just because I hang out at the most degenerate clubs in the entire world, but there has been so many times in which some shit went down that you were like, oh, I didn't know what that meant, or I didn't know. And so when she said, do you party? I know, because I worked Vice, that means, do you do drugs? And you're just like, do you party? Do you have sex? And
even the investigators said, so LAPD sends out investigators. Even they said, we believe this guy, because when you're a cop, you believe it or not, we don't do a lot of the terminology that everyone else does. And when you say active fervence, dude, I got out of my car, 2 guys in plain clothes come up to me, and I'm smiling at them because I'm like, oh, I recognize you from Baker to Vegas. Turn around, put your hands on my back. And I'm like, aren't I supposed to at least meet the girl? Aren't I at least?
Yeah.
And right. Everyone's like,
you need to
did
have
you give her the drugs?
2 pills in your right pocket and put it in a, brown paper bag. Like, there has to be more to it.
Dude, there was no girl. I never met any girl. My dad's like,
right.
So he came out and he saw everything. Like, he was going to court with me, and he's like, if I wasn't here, I would not believe this story. And I'm like, it happened, man.
Like, I guess you want to think, and I mean, I didn't grow up loving the police, but I also never understood why good people could fear and distrust police, except for watching you go through that shit and watching that officer who's guilty. of sexual misconduct under the color of authority go absolutely scot-free, and LAPD did nothing about him. They promoted him. He's now a P3 or a sergeant or something. I don't know what division he's working, but I did look him up, and he still has a job. And you don't. Of course, you did get all of that expunged off your record when you got a good judge that was impartial to look at the actual evidence and see that you didn't do anything wrong. But that still is something that you have to worry about for fucking ever.
Well, I do want to say this. With everything I went through, I still believe in the institution of policing. Even LAPD, I support that those two P2 dogs that's in that police car driving around, keeping us safe, because we've seen what abolish the police has resulted in.
Yeah.
A lot more people who look like me, not less, getting smoked because of you dipshits who are like, oh, we don't need cops. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no hate, there's no animosity towards the shirt that you're wearing from me. And it's not, oh, I'm a bootlicker.
I never wore this shirt in Los Angeles. You could fucking killed. Oh, yeah.
But
would you ever go back?
Never. Team dipshit killed policing. Team victim. Our policing is dead. Now it's identity politics, and it's not law and order. It's not right and wrong. It's oppressor versus oppressed, victimizer. Yeah. It's just goofiness, dude. We had a fight at a club, right? Because I was working security. So they showed up. We're so sorry. Dude, you guys gonna clear the scene? Or you gonna? And their teeth has been removed, and they're not doing police work. And no offense to them, they're just dealing with what they've been dealt. And that's all cool until it's your daughter or your sister or your family member that's the victim. Then all of a sudden it's, why aren't the cops doing anything? Because of you effing moron.
Right.
You're the one who said.
I always used to say, like, I'm law enforcement and not common sense enforcement. Obviously, I feel for you. If that was my neighbor, I'd go over and punch the shit out of him. But the law says he's allowed to, cut all his trees down and do his shit.
One more thing. There's this big argument. Crime hasn't gone up. And I know this is anecdotal. After getting out of the police, I've done loss prevention. Crime is way up, dummies.
Yeah, crime reporting has gone down. And I saw that because, obviously, my mom says that every time I moved, I went closer and closer to Skid Row. But I lived in a total shithole neighborhood. You know that. I think my car got broken into, 6 times in 1 year was my top out. And I might have only reported 2 of them. I don't know. You'd have to look, but 2 or 3. Certainly I didn't report every crime that ever happened to me, every guy that grabbed me and tried to put me in an alley, every time I had to run, every time I had to do whatever. And I was so sick of crime. And I didn't report shit. Not when I was before I was a cop, not when I was a cop. I didn't report a fraction of the things that happened to me. It's just a shitty city, and we all are slowly cooked frogs that are just getting a little hotter every day. And I think crime reporting has gone down because we just think, oh, well, the poor guy, he's just he's high anyway. It's not like they're going to do anything about it. I'm never going to get my bike back. The LoJack will find my car. All of these excuses that we have. And I guess really, hopefully, maybe we'll do a crime tips show, but to help people, but report everything. The more reports in your neighborhood, the more cops go to your neighborhood and the more crime goes down.
But you know what though, Molly? It's so funny, the whole pro-criminal movement. And you and I talk a lot, so they don't understand action and consequences or whatever. So they didn't realize, us doing this stuff kind of backs criminals. So it got so bad. I'm doing loss prevention. I'm a security guard. And you know me, I talk to everybody. So I'm stopping gangsters. I'm like, hey, so what do you think about what's going on in LA? And these are gangsters. They got tattoos of their gang on as a mustache. And I'm like, you're really a gangster. Hey, bro, I'm tired. I'm like, tired of what? it's bad. I'm like, so what? I'm going on vacation. Where are you going to go? I'm going to Las Vegas. LA is just, you have messed up LA so bad. Gangsters are like, I'm going on vacation because it's just too hot in the spot right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good job, dummies.
And it's bad for everyone. Like when I worked West LA as a burglary detective, and then I moved to Van Nuys as a burglary detective, we were the highest in the city. And those are like nice places, but nobody wants my tube TV. They want, high-end shit, and they break into high-end places. And so it's not just that crime stays on that side of Main Street. It's everywhere in the state of California, and it's all being underreported because the city is graded by these statistics. And so you do a bunch of shuffling. And I, as a burglary detective, I would only get assigned cases that were felonies, that were true burglaries. So you'd get all of the reports from patrol, and you would see that the back window is broken and the couch was turned over, but nothing was stolen. So they just call that a vandalism. It's a misdemeanor. Nobody's ever assigned the case because the rich homeowner says, I don't even know if anything was stolen. I've got to, get back to whatever, my important life. I'll have my secretary get back with you. If you can't make it that felony crime, nobody's even assigned your case ever. They're never. And then you have all these calls that go down and reports that are made, the ones that are actually made, and they don't come to a detective. So I don't see crime trends. And when I catch that one guy red-handed, I can't get all those other ones on him because that's a trespass and not a burglary. All that bean counting bullshit is really to give you a false sense of the city being beautiful so that they can keep taking those tax dollars and not have to provide anything for it. It really is such a disservice to everyone that lives there. And I hope that you get out.
But you start to realize it's only these. So you got these 100 guys, right? Of whatever color. They're purple, they're green, they're whatever. Only 3 of them are committing all of the crimes. But because you're accidentally on purpose racist, all black people are criminals and all criminals are black. So if I'm nice to criminals, I'm being nice to black people. No, you moron. Arrest those 3 dipshits and don't sacrifice the 97 of us black people, brown people. Don't sacrifice us. Take them to jail. F them. Because listen, you have insurance. I don't want to use my insurance to make my insurance go up because you don't want to put this guy in jail. You want to virtue signal, do it. Matter of fact, hopefully they come and I'm going to keep quiet, Molly, because I'm going to get in trouble.
Well, now that I come to work to do these, which actually we've got to go soon because I've got to get out of the building.
Any chats?
Before the cops come and I'm arrested live.
Any chat questions or comments?
Yeah. Well, Big Hair Tsunami asked, what about your union? How come your union didn't fight for you when you went through your shit?
Initially, they said, what was the word to use? Nexus. They used some really big words. And they tried. They really did try. They spent a lot of money on me. So big union, they did spend a lot of money. What happens with politics is stuff, it goes from being just to being politics. And then when you're trying to get someone, and listen, I wasn't completely innocent. I'm going to put that out there. And when I say I wasn't completely innocent, using the pills, I wanted to see the girl. But the whole, you're a drug dealer, stop it. Yeah. I can name them. I'm the biggest nerd you've ever met. You guys just can't tell right now. And I can't stand criminal activity, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild just because we have been best friends for 14, 15 years, whatever it's been. And like, I know you so well. I mean, you're truly one of those people I would do anything for. And to see you being treated like shit and feel so helpless at that time because I didn't know what happened. I just knew that we weren't allowed to talk about it because there was an investigation pending and all this shit, and how the city fucking okey-doked you. and how the city really is just there to get people to get back to work. And it doesn't matter that your finger is broken. We need somebody to work the front desk, and that they didn't have that common sense to get rid of the bad apple. Like, dude, that guy that I sat in the car with is a fucking moron and a dangerous moron. And the fact that that guy still has a job, it breaks my heart, because you and I know this job for what it could be. Good people really trying to be that intermediary between crime and, citizens. And I only got a taste of it through you before I left. But when I moved from LA, I got a job in the Midwest working for one of the biggest agencies in Michigan. And I thought, well, it'll be the same. Bro, it fucking wasn't. Maybe we talk about that another time, but my time there was fucking shocking, to the point where I don't drive through that city anymore. And I'm not a black guy. And maybe we talk about it another time, because we are running short and we've been hijacking our friends for too long.
Maybe the chat wants us to do a second part 2 of this.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple weeks. We do have some fun things coming up. Next week, it's the new year, peeps. So I want to do a dumb one. And it's these new urban legends. The fucking zip tie on the door handle, and smell my perfume in the Walmart, and the little napkin on the gas pump that's for human trafficking, and like all this shit, like just influencer nonsense to get you to click on shit. It pisses me off, because as somebody who really wants to stop crime, to fake crimes is so unconscionable to me. But then also I'm going to give you some crime tips of things that you should do, to just because we live in a new criminal hellscape right now. And hopefully with the new administration, we'll come back to a time of normalcy, perhaps. But right now we're living in a criminal hellscape. And so what do you need to know crime-wise, crime tip-wise? And also these new urban legends. And then also we're going to be doing... What's the other one we're doing? I got notes.
NPCs.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing the stupefaction of society. Like, how are everybody's so dumb? Like, people just don't know anything anymore, and they're just not present in their life. And what's happening? Is it something in the water? Like, what's going on? And there's just a lot of good shows coming up. I'm gonna have Kate on with talking about hypnotherapy. I'm going to do one about the fire service. I got a lot of stuff coming up. But Randy, I could talk to you forever. I fucking love you, dude.
I love you
and
too.
I wish you would just get the fuck out of California. I'm keeping that restaurant for you, bro.
Oh, I just wanted to say one thing. Soft on crime, pro-criminal is anti-everybody. So all you guys who are like, oh, don't do that. And I'm not one of these. I get it, dude. You might have had one too many, or you might smoke some weed or whatever. But we live in a very pro-criminal. These last 4 years have just been, if you're a criminal, you're the good guy. And if you're the victim of crime, oh, too bad. And the only reason why you don't care is because it's not your family member. That's my little 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think small shit leads to big shit. So when you take away those tools... Like, okay, we're not going to do any more stops on whatever. Then it takes away the ability to get guns off the street. Like, a lot of times we stop these people for stupid shit. Modified exhaust, tint, 4001, whatever. Like, stupid little pitty things I've gotten babies from cars. I've gotten a lot of drugs and weapons and people with really bad warrants that were in the car with soon-to-be victims, like just off of stupid traffic stops. Wasn't the Unabomber caught off a stupid traffic stop?
Well, a certain magazine in LA, via I can't say mayor, the governor of a city, bad guy. You guys got to stop harassing black people. Well, there was a gang war between A-Trade Gangster Crips in the 60s, and it was 100 bodies, 100 nights. So they were killing each other. But because you guys are pro-criminal, they're like, you cops need to stop stopping them. So now they have carte blanche to go start killing each other again. And they did a really good job of, sorry for saying that word, unaliving and deleting each other. So
Yeah.
cheers to you guys with your, hey, stop harassing them. Now they're no longer with us. So via you dummies.
Yeah, and we lost a few fights when I worked gangs. The big thing was to just, anytime they get stopped, I'm just going to put in a racial profiling beef to try to just get you to stop stopping me so that I can move along in my way. All right, I'm going to stop this YouTube stream right now so that we can get away with some other stuff. Sorry, YouTube. If you want to see the whole thing, come on Rumble on the Kate Awakening Fridays. So let me remove that bullshit. Bye, YouTube.